Are you in the market to buy a house and you have no idea what is the process, what you should be looking for, what is some of the terminology that is used? Well, in today's video, I'm having a conversation with Maria Salvino. She's a mortgage broker, and we had a good chat about some of the things that the first-time home buyers or even the home buyers that are coming back in the market that they should know about. Hi, my name is Faiza. I'm a realtor with eXp Realty. Welcome to my channel. If you like my content, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below so I can answer them for you. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Hi everyone, welcome. I'd like to introduce Faiza, who is a realtor. I've met Faiza about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
We were introduced and, we just clicked right away. I wanted to bring her on today and just ask a few questions about, like the process of buying a home. So welcome, Faiza. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. I just wanted to ask a few questions on the process of, buying a home. Why don't you introduce yourself and how you got into this and what made you get into the real estate market?
Absolutely. Hi, thank you so much, Maria, for having me today. So my name is Faiza, as Maria said. I am a realtor. I usually service the Durham region, the York region area. I could do entire GTA, but that's where that's the market I know, York region and Durham region. I've been a realtor almost a year and change, a year and a couple of days, I guess. I started in February of 2021. And what got me into it is the fact that I've been an investor since past about 9 years or so. Personal investments that my husband and I did since past 9 years. So I was always interested in it. And then I got blessed with 4 girls, and then I just didn't want to do a 9-to-5 job. I wanted to do something that I would have more flexibility with. So So I decided to do something that I was passionate about, which was real estate. Since then I've been I've been doing it for a year, but I've been exposed to it since past almost 9 years.
That's awesome. So one question I have for you to start is, how much of a deposit normally would a buyer need to put down when they're going to purchase a home?
So we generally recommend at least 5% of the purchase price. But if you can do more, then it makes your offer look stronger. There's nothing wrong with giving more, but you cannot give less than 5% because obviously that makes your offer a little bit weak. The sellers don't like to look at deposits less than 5%.
Great. And one question, when you receive that deposit, where do you bring that money?
So that money goes, there are 2 ways of doing it. One of them is the money goes into the seller's brokerage. They keep it in their trust account. Okay, that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is if the seller doesn't want to keep it with the brokerage, or if the buyer doesn't want to keep, well, not the buyer, sorry, if the seller doesn't want to keep it with the brokerage, then they can keep the deposit with the lawyer until the closing. Those are the 2 ways of doing it, but generally 95% of the time, the deposit goes to the seller's brokerage, or, what we call the listing agent. The listing agent's brokerage, they keep it in their trust account.
And that's when afterwards, I guess, lawyers get involved and they know exactly how much was put down and everything like that.
Correct, because it is part of your agreement of purchase and sale. It specifically states on it what the deposit was at the time of the offer, and it is part of the agreement.
Great. One question, with today's hot market, how do you negotiate in pricing for your clients?
Negotiation in today's market depends on a couple of factors. I'll give an example. So, for example, we go to see a house and there are 15, 20 other offers on the table. there's not much of a negotiation except the fact that you meet the requirement of the seller. So the seller wants the highest price, or the seller wants a quick closing or a late closing, or the seller could want higher deposit, or the seller could want firm offer, right? So it depends on what the seller's requirements are. So personally, what I do is when I know that my client is interested in putting an offer in on a house, I make sure that I'm talking to the listing agent and I make sure what the seller's requirements are. If the seller is looking for, let's say, if we are writing an offer today and the seller is looking for a end of March closing, I will make sure that my buyer is aligned with that. And we make sure that our offer goes in according to the seller's requirement. That is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is, and I'll explain that with a different example, is I take my client to a house that is not that prime. There are not a lot of offers on it. Maybe 2 or 3 offers on the table. That's when we can negotiate, because we have room, right? There are only two to three offers. Maybe the first 2 offers are the best offers. Listing agent calls me and says, Faiza, you have a good offer. What can you do? And then at that point, we look at the house, we look at what we can do, what I can do for my client's best interest, and negotiate from there. And again, the negotiation comes back to a couple of factors only. Either it's the price, or it's the closing date, or it's the conditions. So for example, my client didn't put in a firm offer. Let's say they wanted to put a home inspection offer, or let's say they put in a mortgage a finance condition in the offer. So and the listing agent wants a firm offer, right? So how do we negotiate? So I go back to my client and say, what is the best you can do? Can you remove this option? Do you have a pre-approval? Can you go in at this amount with no condition? If my client says yes, then we go ahead and we remove. So a couple of, depending on what the situation is, negotiation can happen, but it all depends on how many offers are on the table. So if I already know for a fact that there are 15, 20 offers, and if I'm not one of the top offers, there's really no room for negotiation.
Great. That's great stuff to know.
That's scary stuff to know, because there's not much I can do to help my client, especially in today's market, when there's absolutely no inventory and people are literally jumping in every single house they see, right? So it's kind of hard to do negotiation unless and until my client is, one of the few. Then I can put in my, best foot forward and negotiate for the client for the best interest, and go from there.
So before you actually start taking a client out looking at homes, what's the first thing that you ask from a client, or that you would need from a client before you actually start taking them around the GTA?
Yeah, so we can do a little bit of homework without it, but once I feel that my client is serious to go out and see the houses, the first thing that I ask for is a pre-approval. I know a lot of people, for some odd reason, are hesitant in going and getting a pre-approval done, but I honestly believe, I think every real estate agent would tell you this, that it's probably the most important document to before you go out and look at houses, because you go out and you look at $1 million house, but you can in reality only afford $800,000. So I don't see a point of going out and falling in love with houses and then not figure out later on that you can't afford it. It's heartbreaking for them. It's a waste of time for them. It's a waste of time for me, and we're not being productive. So pre-approval is critical in actually starting, before you even think about going out and seeing the houses. Knowing the fact that this is what I can afford helps you mentally, and saves a lot of time, in my opinion.
Wow. Well, that's very good to know for everybody. Um, Thank you so much, Faiza, for your time. This is great information that you had shared with me today. I'm sure all of everybody that's watching has learned something today. I look forward to the next conversation that we have together. Um, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I definitely want to keep this going so we can, provide some value to our clients. And yeah, I look forward to having a chat with you again and with your audience.
Sounds amazing. I look forward